Move it on.
Thank you. Realise.
I'd just like to welcome everyone to the ordinary meeting of the Liverpool Plain Shire Council. This meeting of the Liverpool Plain Shire Council is being live streamed to Council's website, and a webcast of this meeting will be published to Council's website at www.liverpoolplains.newsouthwales.gov.au, so that is available for viewing by members of the public. I'd just like to Councillor Simpkin to read the knowledge of the country and the affirmation, please.
Today we gather on the land of the Kamilaroi Nation. We acknowledge the traditional owners and custodians of this land. We also pay our respects to Aboriginal elders, both past and present, and further extend that respect to other adults who are joining us today. On behalf of the elected councillors present here today, I solemnly and sincerely declare and affirm that we will undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interests of the people of Liverpool Plain Shire, and that we will faithfully and impartially carry out our functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in us to the best of our ability and judgment.
Thank you, Councillor Simpkin. 3 apologies and applications for leave of absence by councillors. I don't have any of them. 4 applications for attendance via audio-visual link by council. The recommendation that the request by Councillor Kane to attend today's ordinary meeting of the council via audio-visual link be received and accepted. Do I have a motion, please? Councillor Simpkin. Second, please. Councillor Cowan. Does the mover wish to speak to the motion? Or anyone else wish to speak for or against the motion? If not, all in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Confirmation of minutes. 5.1 minutes of the council meeting held on the 26th of November 2025. The recommendation 1 that the minutes of the council meeting held on the 26th of November 2025 be received and the recommendations therein be adopted. Do I have a motion, please? Councillor Cowan. Seconder, please. Councillor Lawson. Does the mover wish to speak to the motion?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? If not, all in favour? Against? Carried. Sorry, Sean, I kept forgetting about you up there. Carried unanimously. Thank you. 6, disclosure of interest. Are there any conflicts of interest in matters under consideration at the ordinary meeting in accordance with Part 4 and Part 5 of the Code of Conduct? Councillor Kane, anyone have a conflict of interest? Right, yeah, thank you. Mayoral minutes. 7.1, the mayoral minute meetings, functions and events December 2025 and January 2026. The recommendation of Council 1 note the meetings, functions and events attended by the Mayor in an official capacity on behalf of the Liverpool Plain Shire Council for the months of December 2025 and January 2026 as detailed in this report. I would like to move the mayoral minute be received. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Lawson, thank you. Anyone wishing to speak for or against the motion? If not, all in favour? Against? Carried unanimously, thank you. 7.2, mayoral minute 2025 Liverpool Plain Shire Council Staff Awards. The motion that Council 1 extend its congratulations and gratitude to those employees of Liverpool Plain Shire Council recognised for their achievements and service to our organisation and community at the 2025 Staff Awards presentation. I would like to move this mayoral minute be received. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Allen. Thank you. Anyone wishing to speak for or against the motion? If not, all in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Mayoral minute for 2026 Liverpool Plain Shire Australia Day Awards. The motion that Council 1, congratulate the 2026 Liverpool Plains Shire Liverpool Plains Shire Australia Day Award recipients and extends its appreciation to all recipients and nominees for their contributions to the Liverpool Plains Shire community. 2, congratulate Mr Neville Holtz, OAM of Willertree, and Mr Robert Lewis, OAM of Crindye, for being awarded medals of the Order of Australia in the Commonwealth Government's 2026 Australia Day Honours List. And 3, extend its appreciation to Ms Joanna Saville, the 2026 Australia Day Ambassador, for attending local Australia Day celebrations throughout the Liverpool Plains Shire. I would like to move the mayoral minute be received. Do I have a second, please? Councillor Simpkin. Anyone wishing to speak for or against the motion? If not, all in favour? Against? Carried unanimously, thank you. 8 late matters. The General Manager has advised that there are no late matters to be considered at this meeting. This is a bit new for us as councillors, but number 9 is matters resolved by exemption. Under Council's Code of Meeting Practice, Council can now move items by exception. I will hand the meeting to the General Manager to proceed with this item. Thank you, Ken.
Thank you, Mayor. Councillors, as the Mayor touched on, this is new as part of the new legislated Code of Meeting Practice, which has come into effect from 1st of January. I will read out each agenda item. If you are wishing to speak against the motion or wishing to speak on it before it is voted on, as I read out the item, please raise your hand. These items we will then move through as we ordinarily would. If none of you wish to speak on a certain motion or you're comfortable with the officer's recommendation, they are then put as one motion to be adopted per the officer's recommendation. So I will take my time with this because we obviously have quite a number of reports. So as I said, as I read out the item and name, please just gesture if you are wishing to speak for it. Item 12.1, amendment to the schedule of ordinary meetings. No, that will be resolved by exception. Item 12.2, appointment of councillor delegates to 2026 conferences. Yes, councillors? Item 13.1, adoption of draft customer experience charter and customer experience policy. Yes. Item 13.2, the delivery program mid-year progress report as at 31 December. Item 13. Yep, Councillor Kane. That's all right, no, so I have noted that those items councillors are wishing to speak on. Yeah, excellent. Item 13.3, the monthly statement of investments for December 2025. Okay. Item 13.4, the monthly statement of investments for January 2026. Item 13.5, financial performance report as at 31 January. Yes, Councillor Cullen. Item 13.6, the public exhibition of the draft financial sustainability strategy. Item 13.7, internally restricted funds. Yes, thank you. 2. Item 13.8, the quarterly budget review statement. No. Item 13.9, Willow Tree Waste Management Facility loan borrowing. Yes. Item 15.1, Local Advisory Committee minutes. Item 15.2, the adoption of the draft destination management plan post-exhibition. Sorry, Councillor Lawson, was that there?
Yeah. Could I just actually add 9.1?
15.
Sorry, it says that on mine. 15.1. Thank you.
Right, so you're wanting to speak to item 15.1? Yeah. Yep. Item 15.3, the adoption of the draft economic development strategy post-exhibition. Sorry. All right, yep. Item 15.4, monthly development and building report for December 2025. Item 15.5, monthly development and building report for January 2026. Item 15.6, public exhibition of draft compliance and enforcement policy. Item 15.7, Plains Fitness Recreation Centre operating model. Yes, you better. Item 17.1, that's the response to the question you notice from the December 2025 meeting. So, I will now, before I pass back to the Mayor, so there will be a procedural motion which will be reflected in the minutes, and that is that Council will adopt the following items of business per the Officer's recommendation, and that is, so objective, I've missed anything, please. A, item 12.1, the schedule of ordinary meetings. B, the monthly statement of investments for December 2025. C, monthly statement of investments January 2026. D, public exhibition of the draft financial sustainability strategy. E, the quarterly budget review statement as at 31 December. F, monthly development and building report December 25. G, monthly development and building report January 2026. Public exhibition, draft compliance and enforcement policy. And finally, the response to the question we notice. So all other items will move through per normal. So that becomes the motion, and there will need to be a mover and a second, and I'll pass back to the
Can I have a mover please of that to Councillor Simpkin, seconder please, Councillor Robertson. Does the mover wish to speak to the motion? Anyone else wish to speak to the motion? If not, all in favour? Against? Okay, carried unanimously, thank you. Now, I'm a little lost about where we go to. 12.2. I'd just like to move a procedural motion to bring 15.7, the Plains Fitness Recreation Centre operating model forward. So if people want to leave, they can. If they don't, they can stay. Can I have a mover please of that? Councillor Lawson, seconder. Councillor Allen. All in favour? Hang on. Against?
Councillor Simpkins against.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Simpkins.
Well, I just want to speak to it first. Whereabouts do you want to bring it forward to?
Now.
Right now. Yeah, no, that's fine.
Sorry, Councillor Simpkins. I should have listened to you. Right. So, 15.7, Plains Fitness Recreation Centre operating model. The recommendation that council, I would like to move an amendment to the recommendation in part 1, which will read, endorse the transition of the Plains Fitness Recreation Centre to a 24/7 unstaffed operating model effective the 1st of June 2026. The other 2, 3 and 4, the other clauses will stay the same. Does everyone want me to read 2, 3 and 4 out? So the recommendation will read that Council 1 endorse the transition of Plains Fitness Recreation Centre to a 24/7 unstaffed operating model effective of the 1st of June 2026. 2, note the financial outlook for Plains Fitness Recreation Centre, including the projected cumulative operating loss of approximately 2.3 million over a 10-year period from 2025 to 26 to 2034-35 should the current staff operating model continue. 3, acknowledge the significant change in the local fitness market since council acquired Plains Fitness, and confirm the competitive neutrality obligations have been considered and the transition to an unstaffed model is necessary to ensure council does not unfairly compete with local private operators. And 4, effective the 1st of June 2026, amend the following fees and charges contained within council's schedule of fees and charges to reflect the revised service offering at Plains Fitness Recreation Centre appended at Annexure A. Do I have a move, do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Cullen. Do I have a seconder? Oh, sorry, Councillor Cullen. Does anyone wish to speak for or against the motion? Councillor Robinson.
Yes, just wondering, 12 months ago, I was told that that facility was actually covering itself and was actually making money. And I'd also like to know where the $2.3 million loss over the next 10 years has come from. So please compile those figures. Thank you.
Through the General Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Robertson, for the question. I'm aware of the advice that was provided to you 12 months ago, or who provided that advice, but so I can't speak to that advice. I believe that was before my time as General Manager. The forward projections in terms of the projected loss have been developed by Council's finance staff, led by the Director of Corporate and CFO.
Is that in the business paper, James, is the 10-year outlook? So you happy, Councillor Robinson?
Oh, never happy.
No happy. Anyone else wishing to speak for or against? Councillor Allen?
Just a bit on both sides. I think common sense and this extra communication from the ratepayers / members of the Plains Fitness have come forward, and I think moving forward, the option now is there to get together as a community group to put the actions into place to allow a financial and viable, sensible plan. Because it's no good having a plan that only goes for 2 years, goes for 3 years, goes for 4 years. The plan that the council staff have put together is a 10-year plan. So I think in the best interest of Plains Fitness and the whole of the community and the ratepayers especially, that has to be matched to give a sensible, viable option for that extended period. Because whether you believe in the figures or not, this option has now been put on the table to the councillors. We've listened to the ratepayers and the members of the Plains Fitness. We've taken that option, give you a 4 months option. I'm speaking to them. Till the 1st of June. Yeah. So I'm hoping that that other option helps and alleviates and allows you to get together as a group and come up with something that's good moving forward. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak? Councillor Zinke?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Not a whole lot of fun being here. This is not fun for anyone. Talking about service reduction, whether it's a gym, whether it's a pool, whether it's a road or a water main, it's not a fun part of being council. I'm going to give you a little bit of context about how fun this has been for us in 18 months. When I put my hand up to go for election, I knew things weren't great. The car was heading towards the cliff. The financial projections weren't awesome. We sat down with the executive at the time within the first 6 months, and we were told essentially, you know, we had 10 years. 10 years, we had no cash at all. So we're getting a bit close to the cliff. 10 years is not a lot of time in local government. There's a lot of big moving parts that are slow to manoeuvre us. But I thought, you know, here we go. We're ticking along, we can make a few changes. We then part ways with that executive team. And we get a new one. Ken comes on board, he builds a team around him, and those financial figures start to get refined. People start to look a little bit deeper. And as opposed to being on a car on a trajectory to a cliff, I would now describe as having about 2 fingernails hanging onto it. Our financial position is that dire that this is not something that is taken lightly. This wouldn't come to council if we were going on right. I want you to know that. This is a decision that's came up because essentially we as an elected group of people have said to Canyon, you need to work towards financial sustainability. And that's what they're doing. They're bringing reports. And please, this will be one of probably, I estimate, 10 to 15 really bad conversations we have to have with the community about things. This is not over. We have, of recent times, we have had massive budget overruns in projects. The report later in the business paper around a loan borrowing for Willow Tree Waste Management Facility is to effectively, in a worst case scenario, deal with a $3.2 million budget overrun at Willow Tree Landfill. And that, the question of why, is a reasonable one. A lack of scoping, a lack of diligence. Contracts were awarded before DAs were determined. This is all honesty. I'm not going to, if I have to tell you I'm going to take the gym off you, I might as well be honest. That in itself has crippled our cash reserves. We had an overrun on the pool. We have increased operating costs at the pool. How many people in the room have driven on a brand new piece of road and then 6 months later seen the council crews maintaining it? That is the definition of bleeding money into a gutter. And, you know, it's not 1 year, it's not 2 years, it's not 5 years. This has been going on for 20 years and now we're broke. So, as much as I can understand there's passion in the room, and it's great to see people come out and advocate something that they love and that they feel important for and get angry about, I am absolutely gutted and brokeable at the same time that when I came on the council to try and fix things, now we're in a position where we're doing this. Like, there is no affording to the councillors to do nice things, to build parks for our kids, to upgrade our sports facilities. We don't get to talk about that. We don't get to talk about upgrading anything, because every time we come into the room, because the executive are quite diligent, they're turning over rocks and there's snakes under every single one of them. And those snakes cost us money. So we don't get to do the nice stuff that Tamworth Council does. We don't get to sit here and say, oh, that master plan looks great, let's put a pond in there. That's not what this is. This is absolute bare bones salvaging an organisation before an administrator comes in and this entire community loses its representation for several years. That is the reality of where we are at. Now, the three speakers that we had this morning articulated themselves beautifully, and I understand that it is far more than a P&L. Don't get me wrong, council has a lot of services that we run on a P&L balance at a loss. And that does happen. Our pools are going to run at $1 million per annum loss going forward. And we need to now sit down and have more awful conversations about how we're going to minimise that. So when people come to us and say, oh, can you open the pool for another couple of hours, as much as we want to say yes, financially we can't continue to bleed money by taking on more costs. It doesn't mean that we don't consider the community in our decision making, we should. And I think the extension that Mayor Cudmore has proposed is not an unreasonable one to allow for some more consultation. I think that's fine. But my point, and what I want everyone to consider, is that we haven't dreamt this up because I don't like people who go to the gym or because there's a set against an individual who uses the gym. That's not what this is. This is very much getting to the end of the tether and saying, what do? Do we just stand up front and shake an administrator's hand? Is that what we do? Or do we actually try and make some savings? Because at the end of the day, we need to be financially sustainable. We need to make really bad decisions. Not bad decisions. We need to make decisions that don't make everyone happy. So look, at the end of the day, this is something that has been stirring for 20 years via financial mismanagement, absolutely atrocious asset management, even worse project management. It is absolutely gutting to sit here and not be able to do the stuff that we want to do and instead have to do this. So, it's unfortunate, but hopefully through that little bit of a ramble, there is some context as to why this is sitting in front of us.
Thank you, councillor Simpkin. Well said, councillor Lawson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I'd like to start by acknowledging that I really believe that there should have been some sort of notification to members that this was coming to council today. Had I realised that had not occurred, I would have taken steps to make sure that it happened, because I do feel that all the members should have been made aware of that. So I am sorry on behalf of council that that has occurred. I agree very much with what Councillor Simpkins saying. I know I've been on for the short term longer than him, but very similar sort of sentiment as far as finding out. It seems to be one thing after another that we find out that is another cost that we have to deal with, and those relate to our core services with rubbish, sewerage and water. So those are our core services and the things that we have to make sure are maintained. And yeah, it's unfortunate that there has been a neglect of a lot of our infrastructure over the years. However, there aren't many councils that do provide business services in the form of a fitness centre. And the reason is because councils are not good at running businesses. They are usually much more cost effectively run and better run in private enterprise. And I hope that if the recommendation is passed today, the motion is passed today, that will be the case going forward, and I'll support that. I might just quickly read out, and I'm sorry this will be repetition for a lot of people who've sent me emails, because I drafted one response because of I replied to about 30 emails in the last 24 hours. And I just wanted to say, although I'm not currently a member there, I was in the past, and I'm well aware of how much it means to everybody and what a great service and stuff it has. I have been in there, I have had my kids going through it. Unfortunately, our councils are in an unsustainable long-term financial position, and we're being called upon to make some hard choices regarding non-core services, particularly those that could be delivered privately. If we do not, we either have to source this shortfall from ratepayers, or our cash position will continue to deteriorate. And just on that, as regards to increasing fees, from what I understand from our financial services, even if the fees were to be increased substantially, we would still be in a loss position. I've already talked to the neglect of our infrastructure renewal over the past decades. Please note that this motion has not come about due to a lack of regard for the benefits provided by Plains Fitness, but out of financial necessity. It's worth noting that historically the centre was a Police Citizens Youth Club funded by the state government. They stepped back from that, and that's when council stepped in because it was going to close. Unfortunately, this is like so many other cost-shifting exercises by the state government. It's a slow burn to us, diverting funds away from core services. We continue to advocate about this. I encourage you all to as well, because we see less services out here in the bush, and it's not fair. We are the backbone, we are producing the gross domestic product, and yeah, because of lack of voters basically, we get less pieces of the pie, and we need to make more noise about that to our state and federal members and governments. I'm hopeful that if this motion is passed, that classes and PTs could be delivered privately going forward, especially considering the support the community has voiced for these sessions and classes. As a councillor, I would very much give my support to any option involved allowing PTs and instructors to deliver services themselves, either within an unstaffed, but about reducing these losses so that we are sustainable. It's only about looking better on paper, because those papers are about our real cash. Yeah, I mean, personally, gym means a lot to me. It's been a part of our town and our social fabric for many, many years, and I'm very sad about this. Thank you.
Councillor Garland.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Firstly, I'd like to congratulate the community on their diligence and reporting in relation to this matter, and for your attendance today to show your support for your gym. I think the amendment proposed by the Mayor will give you the time, hopefully, to carry out some serious thinking on your own behalves and come up with maybe some plans and negotiations with council members and to bring back to council to give us some better options rather than what we are proposing at this time. I congratulate Councillor Allen, Councillor Simpkins and Councillor Lawson on their presentations here in speaking for this motion. They have covered all the aspects, I think, very, very well. And I do apologise, I have not replied to any emails that I have received in the last 48 hours. I did know that my fellow councillors would be filling most people in on the situation and therefore mine would only be repeating what they have already told you. Yes, I do support this motion wholly, the amendment to the motion that has been proposed, and hopefully you, the constituents that have come out so strongly for this gym, will come back with some sort of a proposal that we may be able to consider that gives us better options to what was presently on the table. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Callum. Councillor Kane. Thank you, councillor Kane. I'll just hand over to the general manager. It's June 1, Champion. I'll ask Ken to reply.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Thank you, councillor Kane. Through the Mayor, the amendment, and I appreciate you're not in the room with us today, councillor Kane, but the amendment is to change the effective date of the transition to an unstaffed model from the 7th of April, that was the officer's recommendation, to the 1st of June of this year. So that's the only change. In clause 4, there's amending those proposed fees and charges, which would then come into effect on the 1st of June of this year rather than the 7th of April. So that's the only change to this item. The other foreshadowed change is to item 18.5, the confidential item, which is around the disposal of the asset. So I believe that's where the confusion may be, but the other change around the lease option is in that item. This one deals strictly with the transition to the unstaffed model.
Right, Ken? You're right, councillor Kane? Yep. Thank you. Anyone else would like to? Oh, councillor Lawson.
I just had a question regarding part 4 in relation to the fees and charges being amended. With the date being now the 1st of June as per the motion, for those members who have an annual monthly membership that's going beyond that, I seem to remember reading somewhere along the lines that they would be entitled to get a refund if they so wished. Beyond that date, I just don't see it stated anywhere in the actual recommendation. I'm wondering if it needs to be in there or if it's just something that will happen as a matter of course once that date rolls around. Thank you.
To the general manager.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Through the Mayor. Yes, so it's not stated in the recommendation, but it is addressed in the body of the report, I believe. So if council determines that date and those fees and charges come into effect, what would happen is then we would communicate with the impacted customers and patrons of the service. Those that have paid, as you said, upfront, would be offered a prorated refund to reflect those changes.
So, councillor Lawson.
Sorry, just to further clarify, some members have expressed that they are members primarily because of class and PT sessions. So I just wanted to clarify that they have the option of a refund of the pro rata, not just a change to the new fee. Thank you.
Through the general manager.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Through the Mayor, yes, that's correct, sorry. So there may be some members who opt to leave the service full stop, and then that would be reflected in terms of the refund, whereas others who did want to remain members would just be offered that prorated refund.
Thank you. All right. My little 2 volts worth. Yeah, look, I agree with everyone that's said anything here today, but it comes down to the fact that we run a service that we probably shouldn't run a service, and that doesn't take away from the fitness centre one iota. So we told our staff, and I'm very happy with our new team. They've done a magnificent job, and the figures we get now are the best I've seen in my time as a councillor. So we've got to support them. Their recommendations, mean a lot to us, because that's the only way we can make a decision with firm facts and figures around why we do things. Probably in the past that hasn't been the case, so things get a bit muddy. But now I think we've got the right team. They're saying that we're not sustainable if we keep going to doing things that we shouldn't be in. And there's a lot of stuff we do in the Shire that we probably shouldn't have our toes in. And the gym is just one of them. We don't want to see it shut up, like the elderly on there, so, or the young or whoever else. We want to see it open, but it can't be run by council. There's got to be a different model to keep it open, and what that is, I'm not quite sure. So, but if everyone can get behind it and comes up with any ideas, and that's why I've just given the extension, we need to have a line in the sand, otherwise this will just go on and on and on. So that's why we set a date, and we want to go down that track, and we talk about different things in the confidential section, and then after the meeting, everyone will be aware of where it is. I think everyone is quite aware of what's going to go on. So, but you know, we're trying to do the right thing for the facility, but we're going to do the right thing by the council. As Councillor Simpson said, if we don't do something, well, all of us, if we don't do something in the near future, we will be, in some serious trouble. And that's most councils. You look at Tamworth, I think Charlie brought it up, or Councillor Simpson brought it up before. Tamworth is selling off these assets. Everyone's short of money. The federal government are broke, the state government are broke. They throw us a few crumbs and hopefully we go away. They transition a lot more stuff to us to say, rightio, you look after it. But we just don't have the funds. A lot of our cash reserves have gone. We can say the pool had an overrun, but I think for $7.5 million or whatever, I think we've got an outstanding facility. So there's overrun somewhere. It's a bit like the waste facility and all that sort of stuff, but that's just how council works. By the time things happen, something else happens, and a lot of due diligence probably wasn't done by senior staff. But as I say, I'm really, really pleased with the people we've got at the moment, and as councillors, we're trying to make some firm decisions based on fact. And one of those is we can't run the gym in the current model, and that's as simple as that. So we're hopefully, that everyone can get behind us, and we can all work together and get a good outcome for the community. Because, as I say, it's not a bad facility, and it's well utilised, but it's not utilised by everyone. It's not an asset the council have to look after. I seek a little bit of advice from the previous mayor, and he said, no, it's not. Pools are, libraries are, gymnasiums are not. So thank you very much for coming. If you want to stay for the rest of the meeting, that's all my little soapbox bit. So we'd just like to vote on the motion, please. All in favour? Against? No, Councillor Robinson is against the motion, so it is carried. Thank you very much. So we'll go back to 12.2. Thank you very much. If you don't want to stay, thank you very much for attending. But more than welcome to stay if you want to. But
Could we get the other emails?
thank you very much. I can't reply to emails. Sorry. So 12.1. 12.2. It's in blue or what? Right, appointment of council delegates to the 2026 conferences. Do we want to, before I read out the recommendation, do we want to fill the vacancies? Can we do that? Sure. So we don't need 3 to go to LG New South Wales, but if someone wants to go in case someone wants to pull out or whatever. Councillor Lawson, Councillor Simpson.
Wrestle.
Yeah, I am going, so someone else is going for some of this.
Once you've got roads.
Yeah, I'll go to roads and I'll go to Albury, and if there's a vacancy for the annual, I'll go to that, but if there's not a vacancy, I won't. That's fine, I'll do an alternative.
So we're doing Councillor Lawson. Councillor, sorry.
Yeah, so if, say I can't go, can it be transferred? Can we have a reserve? So would you be happy if you put me down and you was a reserve?
Yeah, no, sorry, that's what I ended up proposing. Yeah, I'll just reserve if a vacancy comes up, I'll go.
Did anyone else?
Cabinet, so local government in South Wales, you're right, Terry, with that, you fellas? Local government in South Wales, it'll be the mayor, I'm sure, Councillor Sean Kane, Councillor Lawson and Councillor Simpkin will be the alternative. And the New South Wales Roads Conference, Councillor Simpkin. Right. So the recommendation of Council 1, appoint the following councillors to attend each of the following conferences being held in 2026. Hopefully. The conferences, the Local Government New South Wales Annual Conference, the delegates will be the Mayor, Councillor Ken Cudmore, Councillor Sean Kane, Councillor Lawson, with a reserve of Councillor Simpkin. The Local Government New South Wales Water Conference will be Councillor Sean Kane. Local Government New South Wales Destination Visitor Economy Conference will be Councillor Jason Allen. The New South Wales Local Roads Conference will be Councillor Simpkin, and the Alabama National Assembly will be the Mayor, Mr. Councillor Ken Cudmore, and Rears, and Councillor Charlie Simpkin. And the ALGWA New South Wales Conference is Councillor Donna Lawson. 2, approve reimbursement of out-of-pocket expenses incurred by council delegates attending the above conferences in accordance with the council's expenses and facilities policy. And 3, note that council delegates are required to provide a written delegate report to council following each conference attended. Can I have a mover? Councillor Lawson, a seconder, Councillor Allen. Anyone, does the mover wish to speak to the motion? Does anyone else wish to speak for or against the motion? If not, all in favour? Against? Carried unanimously, thank you. 13.1, adoption of draft customer experience chart and customer experience policy. Where's that thing? Oh, sorry. We talked about it. Recommendation that Council 1 note that submissions received throughout the public exhibition period and the responses provided. 2, adopt the draft customer experience charter appended at Annexure A and the draft customer experience policy appended at Annexure B. Do I have a motion, please? Councillor Allen, second please. Councillor Robinson. Does the mover wish to speak to the motion?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Anyone else wish to speak? Councillor Simpkin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't necessarily have an issue with the document. There's, recently there's a clarification to this within the body of the report for some stuff, and it's nice to see the staff throwing a few things in there. I think there may be a misinterpretation to my query, but I also don't think anything's going to hold it up. My question was more around the categorisation, but also the methodology for risk assessment and the resourcing requirements around it. I don't necessarily think there's a problem if the council's executive and responsible managers believe that it can actually be achieved. I don't have an issue. I just think my question around may be interpreted incorrectly, or potentially my memory is not great. So I've no issue with the document. It sounds like if the executive will put it there, then they're confident, so I'm happy.
With the general manager?
Thank you, Councillor. Through the Mayor. Your inquiry that came through was discussed between both Paul and the two Paul. So Paul, who's the Manager of Customer Experience, and Paul, the Director of Infrastructure. If you did need or want to see further clarity regarding potentially what you were seeking answers on, and you haven't received them, please put them in an email and I'll make sure that the two of them address that accordingly. But I do believe that they did make some notification based on the Director of Infrastructure's understanding of the ability for the risk assessment timeframes based on the categorisation of them. But if you do want some further clarity around that, please notify us.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wish to speak for? Councillor Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There's nothing wrong with the paperwork or the document, just that I'd like to make sure that things get carried carried on with. Like, today there's been 3 separate people contacting me over issues. They ring up and no one ever gets back to them on things. So 2 of those are on safety things as well. But you know, if you're going to say you're going to do something, I'd like that followed up and make sure it happens. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Robinson. Anyone else? Oh, sorry, councillor Kane, the old champion. Gentlemen.
Thank you, councillor Kane, and through the mayor, I will follow up with the manager of property and recreation around that. I am wondering if, and I don't want to state it if it's not gospel, but I will proceed to state it, and that is, that may actually be captured as part of our agreement with the Werris Creek Lions, so they may actually clean that. I do know that they do a bit of cleaning for us in Werris Creek rather than our paid cleaners, and perhaps that could be why that's been left off that list, but I will follow up, and certainly if we are responsible for cleaning it, then we will add that to the list, but I do wonder if that's the reason why it's been omitted.
All right, councillor Kane. Thank you, councillor Kane. We'll look into it. Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? If not, all in favour? Yates, carried unanimously. Thank you. 13.2, the delivery program 2025 to 2029 mid-year progress report, 31st December 2025. The recommendation that Council 1 receive and note the delivery program mid-year progress report from July 2025 to December 2025 as appended at Annexure A. And 2, notes that the report will be published to Council's website and made available for public view. Do I have a motion, please? Councillor Simpkin, second please. Councillor Robinson. Does the mover wish to speak to the motion? Councillor Simpkin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just 2 points. I didn't get too far down before I was taken away, and quite happy to have this first one taken on notice, given that Julie's not here and it's within her remit. But page 60 of this paper, item 1.1.2.1, the off-plan review of council facilities for safety and security. I suppose firstly, understanding if that is done on a program basis, whether it's like an annual program and they do certain facilities in year 1 and certain facilities in year 2, or whether they try and get across them all, and whether that metric of 70%, how that relates to the facility of the program If it's all of the council's facilities, have inspected 70% of the facilities, etc., which I presume is probably going to be taken on notice for that one. And then on page 61, which is 1.2.4.1, we have recreation grounds, public parks. I'm seeing Paul's on here, happy for this one to take on notice too, unless someone wants to stat. Okay, so we're having a bit of a look, review our recreation grounds, public parks, presuming that this is going to build in some sort of strategic document. Do we know what that is? And is there a date that the review will be completed? And that's it for me. Thank you.
Through the General Manager.
Thank you, Councillor Simpkin, and through the Mayor. I will take both of those matters on notice, given the responsible directors are absent today.
Anyone else wishing to speak for or against Councillor Robertson?
Sorry, this is probably not what we're talking about. I've just been notified that there's actually no audio with the material going out.
We'll check, thank you.
Yes. Councillor Carney. Through the General Manager, Mr. Ballaham is here, Sean, so he will answer your question.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through the Mayor. At this point in time, it's an aspirational exercise. The opportunity out there is very great. However, there's no funding available for this, which we continue to pursue based on philosophy. So at the moment, without the ability to be funded, we've got to continue to keep lobbying for this opportunity to occur. So that's why it's shown as red.
Thank you very much. Right, Sean, Councillor Carney. Anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? If not, all in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you unanimously. 13.3, 13.4, no. 13.5. 13.5, the financial performance report for the period ended 31st of January 2026. The recommendation that Council 1 receive and note the financial performance report for the period ended the 31st of January 2026. Do I have a motion, please? Councillor Robertson. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Simpkin. Does the mover wish to speak to the motion?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? Councillor Simpkin.
I will, but only to the point where I think I may have thrown this one off outside of exception by accident. I actually don't have notes on this one. I think I just got excited. Sorry. I just want to be involved.
Thank you very much, Councillor Simpkin. So, anyone else speaking for or against the motion? If not, all in favour? Against? Carried unanimously, thank you. 13.6 is out, 13.7. For internally restricted funds at the 31st of December 2025, the recommendation that Council 1 approve the transfer from the following internally restricted funds at the 31st of December 2025 to nil balance as detailed below. The reserve is the financial assistance grant operational. The purpose of this grant is to advance payment received for operational purpose from the Local Government's Grants Commission. And the other one is the financial assistance grant road. This purpose of this grant is to advance payment received for local road maintenance from the Local Government Grants Commission, and the amount of both of those is to go back to zero. Do I have a motion, please? Councillor Simpkin. Do I have a second, please? Councillor Robertson. Does the mover wish to speak to the motion? Councillor Simpkin.
Thank you. No, I did get this one right. I did want to speak to this one. Given that later in the day we're going to be talking to a report about loan borrowings of the Willow Waste Management Project, I'm wondering if our Director of Corporate could run us through the change that we're having here and specifically what it's designed to do. Thank you.
Through the general manager.
Thank you, Councillor and Chair Mayor. Usually this report comes up at the end of year to transfer our prepaid accounts to current balance at end of year for our financial statements. We usually don't have to touch our financial assistance grants at this stage of the year. Usually it's basically sitting there on no internal allocations till the end of the year. Given the situation that has occurred with the Willow Tree landfill, internally unrestricted cash that was minimal and our internal allocations have been exhausted, of which we were hoping to not have to reallocate the prepayment of our financial assistance grants to cover those at this stage, but we have. So the purpose of this is with the inclement weather conditions of this first half of this year, which has required a lot more road maintenance, Maryborough Road, I believe, back when the previous director was here, that has exhausted our financial assistance roads funding that we received. So we're reallocating that to cover the expenditure we've had there. And the 1.8 million from the financial assistance grants prepayment and the first two payments we've received on our instalments for the rest of the year needs to be reallocated to our cash balance, bringing the internal allocation down to a zero balance instead of holding those there, which will remove our internal allocations down from 5.3 to 2.6 at this stage.
Thank you. Councillor Simpkin.
Thank you for that. So just when we're talking about the advance payment of the federal assistance grant, is it an advance on the 26-27 financial year? No, it's 25-26? Okay, right, that's cool. So I understand the scope about the Maryborough Road issue. Can I just clarify, are you talking about the landslip, or are you talking about the landslip and the rehabilitation that has recently been completed?
Through the general manager.
Thank you, Councillor, through the Mayor. It's to do with all of the maintenance works that have come up that weren't budgeted for this year, which relate to the Maryborough Road works. I don't know the exact incident, whether it was the August, September inclement weather that caused the landslide, I believe it was back then, that had to get worked on, or whether it's more recently. But our maintenance costs for road have gone up because they weren't budgeted for in this financial year. And usually that financial assistance grant covers our R2R own source expenditure component. And at this stage, we've exhausted that due to the additional works that weren't forecast or budgeted for.
So for those playing along at home, essentially what we're saying is we're taking money that we usually use for road upgrades and capital work to make our roads better, or R2R maintenance? Okay, all right. So essentially we're spending it on unplanned maintenance from that. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak for or against the motion? If not, all in favour? Against? Carried unanimously, thank you. 13.1, the Willow Tree Waste Management Facility Loan Borrowing. The recommendation that Council 1 received. Oh, Councillor McCarthy. Yes, I'll just, I'll pass on to the general manager to tell you what's going on.
Thank you, councillor Kane. Through the mayor, councillor, that was one of the reports resolved by exception.
If you've got a point, you can raise it, we can, you know, yeah, just raise, we get concerned about 13.6 quickly, Champion. Thank you, councillor Kane. Yes, it's a bit new, this exceptional one that's been brought in. It makes it probably simpler, but it's very confusing sometimes when you're not quite sure what's going on. So what do we have to 39? So 13.9, yeah, the Willow Tree Waste Management Facility loan borrowing, the recommendation that Council 1 receive the report on the optimum loan borrowing for Council's contribution to the Willow Tree Waste Management Facility, and note that 3 offers received from Commonwealth Bank, National Australia Bank and New South Wales Treasury Corporation. 2, delegate authority to the Mayor and General Manager to affix Council's common seal and execute all required documentation pertaining to the borrowing of $6 million, either the Commonwealth Bank of Australia or the National Australia Bank, depending on rate and time frame. Do I have a motion, please? Councillor Cohen. Do I have a second, please? Councillor Lawson. Does the mover wish to speak to the motion? Councillor Cohen.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, I just, you know, it's inevitable that we've had to do this to cover our shortfalls going forward in relation to this project. And I do commend our financial team for deliberating and looking at the options that we will be able to use some of these borrowings to offset our cash reserves at this point in time to basically cover what's being used in extenuating circumstances on other projects. So look at just offers us an opportunity to let's say make the users pay in relation to our incurrence of debts that we hadn't anticipated. So I do commend the motion as it is.
Thank you, Councillor Cohen. Is anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? Councillor Simkin.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm reasonably comfortable with the report, I'm reasonably comfortable with the understanding of the report, what money's doing, why it's being done, etc. I'm a little bit vexed about it because the economics down the track is what is really bothering me here. So we're going to borrow money to finish off a landfill facility, and this is the worst case projection, which I can appreciate. Here's my concern. We're going to incur, best case scenario, $1.7 million in interest over 10 years. So, and noting that we have been told before that we don't have a lot of data in how much waste we generate. Essentially, what we're working on here is that our waste operations costs are covered by revenue, which we have no idea about at this point in time. Then that waste remit needs to operate in a surplus of about 180k a year to cover the interest, because we can't build it in year 10. We built it in year 10, so year 9. So it needs to cover 180k in interest as a surplus. And then to build a new cell, assuming no cost increases, we're looking at circa $3.5 million to build another one. So over 9 years, we're then looking at another $390,000. So all of a sudden, our waste remit needs to run at a $500,000 surplus to wash its own face. Now, I know we don't have the data to support it, but I'm going to go out and wing. I'm going to say there's no chance in hell of that happening. Like we do not generate anywhere near that amount of waste, even just on first principles approach. So this is where I start to get really worried. Like we're sitting in a room and we are bearing the pain of our forebears 10, 15, 20 years ago. The decision we're making here, even though I understand how important that decision is setting up the people who come after us in 10 and 15 years. And I can understand that grant opportunity could be available, but it's like, I don't see it as good business to rely on grants, generally speaking, particularly around critical resources. Now, what are the answers? I don't know. I've had plenty of time to think about what the answers are. Whether we just fill it for 10 years, walk away from it and then send our waste elsewhere, is that an option? Within the bounds of what our DA requires, can we scale back the other ancillary infrastructure that's going to be down there and load it and transfer it from criminal? I don't know, but it doesn't seem to me, to approve this doesn't seem like a financially responsible decision. I understand we have more than just financial responsibilities, which is, I generally think, why this report will be adopted today. But I don't think it's a financially responsible decision. I am cognizant that if we do not adopt this loan, that it does put the project in jeopardy. We have a signed contract and there will be costs associated with delaying that contract any further. It also will delay our opening, which is already to a degree at risk. So I suppose this is my little bit of a whinge about, again, another situation where I don't see a way out. But yeah, I really think that the waste management strategy needs a really good kick in the guts and going over, because I don't think that mass landfilling at Willow Tree is going to stack up with the volume that we're going to have. I don't know what volume is in the original one, but that's my observation. So I'm glad Rob's here because he will no doubt give me a serving of what's going on. But that's my general position. Thank you.
To the General Manager.
Thank you, through the Mayor. Several questions there. First of all, we're both in agreement that waste is a difficult service for councils, particularly small councils. Currently, our best information is that we're handling about 5,000 tonne per year. We've got doubts as to whether or not that's accurate data, but that's what we do know at the moment. One of the issues that we've mostly got is how highly regulated this is and how our destination is set by others through legislation. So the introduction of FOGO is our next challenge. And you probably have seen in the recent press that even the likes of Tamworth with their large sizes cannot make FOGO work. So the challenges are there. Having had a short term in this part of the portfolio, it does make it difficult for me to speak at the moment about strategies. However, it is a zero economy. We should be able to make some value out of what we do. And I agree that the strategy needs to reflect that. We've got a lot of work to do in regard to making sure that education is high, because contamination is the biggest problem that we will have in trying to achieve savings from the community. So in order for the community to understand, like today's forum, we do need to get the message out about those sort of things, and a lot of that is in their hands. Discarding one direction instead of the other can contaminate an entire truckload of potential income that we may have. So, yeah, it'll be an interesting exercise to get some education out there and try and make the best of what we can. But I'm furiously agreeing, small councils really do struggle to make these sort of things work. But unfortunately, they are one of the 3 R's for local government. It's something we have to do.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bertham. Does that answer? Sorry, stay on. Does that answer your question? Probably not.
It does to the best of the information that we have, and I can appreciate that this is new. I am again just I was hopeful that we might stop doing this, where we just start saying, she'll be right, he'll be right, we'll deal with it. You know, it's more leverage, it's more debt. It doesn't stack up. So I suppose, and I won't request it today, but I think that there is a body of work to be done in the council report to do some projections, some long-term predictions once we get a level of comfort around. Yeah, no, I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Do you want an answer to any of that? I'll go to the screen before I forget. Councillor Kane. Through the General Manager.
Thank you, Councillor, and through the Mayor. There are facilities that allow us to do that. However, based off the RBA last meeting and the projections, we recommended a fixed rate, which means we wouldn't be able to pay that down early without incurring costs. Main reason is the latest projections are showing another 2 rate rises coming in the near future, which would lead the variable rate to then sit above potentially the fixed rate that we're looking at on commercial bill rate, given the type of facility councils have access to. Secondly, the Corinda Aquatic grant that we received back, when that is due, most likely needs to be applied and put towards funding our operating costs for that facility, noting the large deficit that we're going to be facing that was not forecast moving forward. So that $1.3 million we're looking to receive back most likely will not be applied to the waste area. It needs to be kept in operating for the foreseeable future to help with the operating costs of the Corinda Aquatic Centre and the Werris Creek pool until we're in a position to do so. And the remaining funds for this, yes, although we are listed that we are due $900,000 still outstanding for the grant, there's still no certainty at this stage that we will receive that. Given the lengthy delays we've had in this project and the position we're in a position where if we don't receive the endorsement to move forward with the debt, that it will be tools down on this site as is, and we will incur further loss from our contractor for delaying further because we're not in a position to continue to prop this up.
Thank you. Does that answer your question, Councillor Kane? Through the General Manager.
Thank you, Councillor, through the Mayor. That is correct, but you're still in a position where our operating funds are really limited right now. So to lock away the 900,000 that we may get for this grant, if we get it, it was noted that there's a chance we can still get the grant, but we haven't received confirmation of that. So until it hits our account with confirmation, I'm not hedging any bets that we will receive that due to the delays in this project. It began in October 2021, before the pool did. And we're in a position now far worse than the pool ever was. So I'm not hedging my bets that we'll get the 900. If we were to, I don't believe at this stage it would be in the best interest of council to lock that away, play the money market and get a return higher than the interest rate that we'd be paying on the loan we'll receive, mainly off the fact that we are looking away a significant amount of money for a council of this size that may need to be called upon. It can be put into the waste reserve and can be invested as normal, but it needs to be there and available for waste in case of certain situations, in case of mobilisation for plant and equipment for the site, in case of an emergency that happens at that site. We can't drain all of our funds and lock it away and cause ourselves further cost to retrieve funds at an early rate.
Thank you. Councillor Kane, you're up. Thank you, Councillor Kane. Councillor Lawson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to clarify that the total estimated completion cost in the notes there, the paper, is the total project cost. Yeah. And what our total grant was, because that's just not, I thought it was around 3-point-something million, but it's just not spoken to in that report. So I guess what I'm trying to work out is what proportion of the borrowings related to. I know that we've spoken about the reasons for borrowing the $6 million, and I'm happy with all of that. I just wanted to clarify the actual proportion that will end up relating to this project, especially in light of Councillor Simpkins' comments around, you know, the interest this is going to cost us and everything, the loan, because some of it's, like we've discussed, around cash reserves and that rainy day emergencies and just having that available. Thank you.
Through the General Manager.
Thank you, Councillor, and through the Mayor. The original scoped project that was brought forward to you guys was 3.6, that was that figure, and of that, there was 1.988 was the grant funding, and the remaining portion was listed as council funded. So the only grant we've ever had approval for is the 1.988 for this project, which would leave us out of pocket $5 million, basically. However, due to a plethora of situations and noting in the expenditure and day's life, the expenditure of the whole project from October 2021 until today, so it's not from now moving forward, that is the life from the beginning. That's the reason we saw the $6 million as we discussed earlier.
Councillor Lawson.
If I could just clarify then what we've actually spent or paid to date that is the council funds and what is the grant funds. Do we have those figures?
To the General Manager.
Commission as the Director of Corporate pulls up those figures.
That's my question. I don't think we've ever had that clarity around that question, because it was raised in the meetings for 2021.
Oh, it would have changed by now.
Yeah, but I mean, an updated version every time payments went into that individual fund, whether or not you're taking money from council or whether it's coming straight out of the grant fund. They're broken down, part of each. Because it's what you're borrowing what you had, what you didn't have.
You're right. Yep. Through the General Manager.
Thank you, Councillor. And through the Mayor, the costings, we never received grant funding up front, so council always expended its own dollars first. So at this precise moment, council's only been endorsed and reimbursed at just over $1 million we've received so far, and we have 3 outstanding payments that we are due to receive. At this stage, based on what we spent just shy of $2 million in total, and we've got a further $4 million to go to complete, of which Synergy's contract is, further breakdown in there is the largest part, which is what delays that will incur further costings. But I will pass to Mr. Badahan if he has any further figures to provide.
Through the Mayor, the way the grant works too is it's based on milestone, so we've got to achieve a certain amount of output before we can make a claim against the costs that we've incurred. So the question as to whether or not we spend our money or grant money, the answer is always that we spend ours in arrears and then we get reimbursed back on the money that we claim after we achieve the effort that we've got in the milestone.
Councillor Lawson.
So just to clarify, all the funds we've outlaid so far, we've got backing grants, we actually haven't spent any of our own source funds to date. Out of that proportion that was going to be own source funds, we haven't actually already paid any of that because we've put in claims for the milestone payments. Is that fair to say?
Through the General Manager.
So I know that we're paying it first, but then we're claiming it.
How much will that be reimbursed?
Through the General Manager. Also.
Thank you. Through the Mayor. No, it doesn't work as I guess a grant funding first, cost first, and councils come after. It doesn't work like that. So we might have to hit milestone A, which could cost us 3 times the amount the grant has. It just so happens that at this stage we've received roughly 50% of the expenditure and milestone payments, but we still have outstanding another 50% of the grant. We've only received $1 million. We still owe $900,000. We've spent just under $2 million. So we have expended council money that wasn't forecast for yet, even though it was listed there. The issue that I found is 5 years ago when this project went up, it was listed for X expenditure. That expenditure was never earmarked anywhere. So the reason why we've had to reallocate those funds is that $1.8 million of financial assistance grants is what we have expended to actually cover the cost of the work so far. So that is why, and yes, we will get some money back, but the grant, we aim, supposedly those milestones were outstanding as of June last year in 2025 as the last milestone payment, but we haven't achieved the mark to receive the funding back yet. So although there is $2 million or just under of grant funding, just because we spent that doesn't mean it's the grant money we spent. We have spent council's portion so far. The milestones are at different stages as at the completion point as well. So we will be expending more of council's money before we hit the next milestone. Does that clarify?
Really?
I think you're misunderstanding what I'm getting at, but that's okay. I think I've got a clear enough picture to understand what's going on. Thank you.
Councillor Allen.
This is outside your realm. You've come on board now. You're about 9 months into your term, or okay. What you're asking is, what milestones have been met to get reimbursed for the outcome money that the council spent of its own money? And when he's saying back to you, we're behind how many milestones?
We're owed 3, 2.
2. And because of that, we're beyond those milestones. We can't recoup the money that's already been spent. And what Councillor Kane asked, the $900,000 is, we're here, the milestones are here, and we haven't even got a percentage of the way near those milestones to recoup what's been spent. Where literally what Charlie spoke about earlier, that this is and the executive team that were here never really gave us any real answers to the questions that were asked regularly, that milestones have to be met regularly, and in order to receive and you don't get the money back straight away. Just speaking purely and wholly on, yes, I do the same thing. I go for public grant money, and each time you don't reach the milestone, you're not getting reimbursed. You're essentially putting that milestone on hold, and you're moving on, or trying to catch up to where you originally had to get. So how far behind the milestones in timeline, not income, are we? That's the best question I think we needed to ask. You shouldn't just ask that question in the first place. How far from the milestones are we? And what is it going to cost us in the money that you're borrowing now to get us to that milestone? Because we've bled money, we're going to bleed more money, we're borrowing against the money that we bled, and we're also borrowing against the money that we need to get to the milestone. Is that? Yeah. Sorry.
Thanks, Councillor, through the Mayor. So to answer the question about how far we want the milestone, are we? It mostly swings around the construction of the weighbridge. Weighbridge was considered one of the key outcomes for the grant provider. The quick answer on that is that's as quick as we can make it at the moment. It's purchased, we're waiting for it to turn up, and then we'll install. We're aiming to have that sort of infrastructure in place before we start the 1st of July. But that component, I think I can flag as being finished before we actually finish the whole project, because we're contributing our own money to the periphery work around it. So we've got to probably see, in order to get that $900 odd back, we've got to invest to the point where we reach that milestone. So it's one of those cases where we're going to have to finish this in order to maximise the best that we can out of the situation.
Councillor Lawson.
I'm not looking for an answer back, we'll have a discussion after. Totally appreciate Councillor Allen's discussion around milestones. That wasn't what I was trying to get at. What I was trying to understand was what proportion of the proportion we were going to fund we have already paid for. So yeah, we can have a discussion about that later. I'm not sure if that's zero or some, because all I'm looking at is what proportion of this 6 million is going to be spent on the waste project and what is going to be left over. That's what I'm trying to figure out in my head, and I know I've probably made that quite convoluted in the process, but yeah, that's what I was getting at.
I clarify that. I thought we'd spent a couple of million and we've only used a bit under $1 million of the $2 million we're at, so that's where I thought we were at. So we've probably spent $1 million bucks where we're at. If we're only spent two. Anyway, anyone else speak? Councillor Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Talking of milestones, how far away are we now from the original proposal? I'm quite comfortable to borrow money that we need to finish it, but I'm not comfortable borrowing money just to have in case. To me, the whole point of some of the discussion today is how close we are of being in some real trouble. So why would we borrow money to have just in case we need it? Thank you.
The General Manager.
Thank you, Councillor, and through the Mayor. I think we need to answer your question, I think the first thing you need to consider, and I don't want to keep going down this path because it's not, but we're in the position we're in today through, I say 10, but let's say 20 years worth of mismanagement. So these projects have been allocated to you over 10, 15 years for a long period of time, and the funding has never actually been allocated in a lot of these projects, so it's just eaten away at council's reserves, whether they were targeted to or not. So council has got to a point now where if we aren't to borrow this amount of money, we will have to put tools down, this will not get completed, and we will incur more costs with the contractor for doing so. The original scope of this was actually less than the contract itself with Synergy, which for me, I don't understand, and it's not, we're not going to go down that rabbit warren now, but there was a a project put up with a scope with a contract figure for the whole project, which is less than the actual contractor's contract for you guys, with the variations that they've had today. So we're in a position where if we do not take the $6 million, that it won't be very long before it's not us sitting up here having conversations with you, because this council will not continue to operate. We're not in a position where we have financial figures. The money that we have invested, the majority of it is externally restricted. We aren't able to grab hold of it and just start spending it left and right on things to help cover us. We're bound by certain obligations there, and we cannot touch those. And we've eaten away in our internal allocations. We've got a plant reserve of around 1.5 million, as you saw in the report, and we have the employee entitlements, which we cannot touch. They must stay there for obvious reasons. And we have the quarry remediation, which must stay there. Everything else that we can allocate and move, we have, and we've exhausted it. And unfortunately, because this project was put forward before the pool, and this is just from what I can see, and then the pool debt came available, and the pool was not one priority, this was put on the back burner. And the costings of this project might have been 3.6 in 2021 in October. Whether that's right or wrong, it might not. We're now 5 years down the track, and those costings have escalated. So we're not in a position to go, we will just borrow the remaining contract costs for Synergy and the remaining civil works, because that might not suffice us at this stage. We have eaten away all of the reserves that usually fund a council that doesn't normally come to a chamber like this, that internally we're able to reallocate and move where we need to allow us to pivot, to allow us when a storm event occurs to go out and do the works and the emergency works that need to get done, to do the road maintenance works that happen when trees fall down and destroy everything in the main street. Those funds that we have that are usually available to us are not at hand. We don't have those because of projects like this, and this is the project that's come to light where we've had to borrow against, but this is from a plethora of projects over a numerous amount of years of mismanagement and overspend. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does, but like I said earlier, I'm never happy.
Thank you very much, Daniel. Anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? If not, all in favour? Against? Note that Councillor Robertson is a...
Councillor.
Oh, what are you doing? Councillor Kane, sorry. Are you for? For. Good man, thanks. For.
He had his hands up.
Sorry. And yeah, so it's 6 to 1. Thank you. Yes, Councillor Kane? Thank you, Councillor Kane. So we're on to reports of the Director of Planning Community, 15.1 Local Advisory Committee minutes. The recommendation that Council 1 receive and note the minutes from the Currabubula Local Advisory Committee meeting held on the 13th of November 2025, and 2, receive and note the minutes from the Werris Creek Progress Association meeting held on the 3rd of February 2026. Do I have a motion, please? Councillor Lawson, second please. Councillor Simpkin. Does the mover wish to speak to the motion? Councillor Lawson.
The only reason I noted this one was that I know that the Crudai minutes were there, but on further reflection, the first meeting only occurred in February, so there probably hasn't been time to receive those minutes for inclusion. But I just wonder if we need to advise the person that volunteered to be secretary that they will need to forward them to us if they're to be included in the paper, if we can find a way for that to happen. Thank you.
That'll be. Probably Jenny, did you want to comment?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Lawson. I believe Chrissy Moore, our admin coordinator in Planning and Community, did reach out to that person, but the minutes weren't taken at the first meeting. So the first meeting for Corinda has definitely been held. I understand the Western Plains Local Advisory Committee has also met. I'm not sure about the status of those minutes, but our admin coordinator will certainly be in touch with those individual committees.
Thank you, GM. Right, Councillor Lawson, anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? If not, all in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. 15.2, adoption of the draft destination management plan for 2026 to 2030. Post exhibition, the recommendation that Council 1 adopt the draft destination management plan for 2026-2030, appended Annexure A. Do I have a motion, please? Councillor Robertson, second. Councillor Lawson. Does the mover wish to speak to the motion?
No, thank you, Mr Mayor.
Anyone else wish to speak for or against the motion? Not Councillor Allen.
Just in the terms that say that, I had it in my head. Sorry, it's not coming out of my mouth. I've lost what I was gonna say. I'll put my hand down now, so let's go on.
It's the stress of the job.
It's a worry, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak while he has a bit of a rethink? Councillor Lawson.
I know that we've looked at this before the exhibition, but yeah, just want to mention again the amount of work that's gone into this from the staff. I really appreciate all of what's gone into us. I think it's a good plan, it's a good place to start. And yeah, I think we just need to work towards these collaborative partnerships with community organisations that also work in that space. And yeah, I think it just gives us a defined way of doing it. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lawson. Councillor Robertson.
Yes, Jason, you're probably just thinking about how you're going to sell this place. And one of the committees that you're on. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Robertson. Anyone else wish to speak for or against the motion? If not, all in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. 15.3, adoption of the draft economic development strategies for 2026 to 2030. Proposed exhibition, the recommendation of Council 1 adopt the draft economic development strategy for 2026 to 2030, appended at Annexure A. Do I have a motion, please? Councillor Robinson, second, please. Councillor Simpkin. Does the mover wish to speak to the motion?
No, thank you, Mr Mayor.
Anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? Anyone happy?
Yep.
No. If that's the case, all in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you.
Mr Mayor, could I ask for a 5-minute recess before we go into confidential, please?
We just get there and then we'll get there.
Okay, yep,
We'll get there and then we'll. The recommendation, and this is confidential matters, the recommendation that council considers the confidential reports listed below in a meeting closed to the public in accordance with the section of the Commonwealth Government Act of 1993. So 18.1 RFT 135/2025 supply and delivery of one new motor grader. 18.2 RFT 134/2025 supply and delivery of a self-propelled smooth drum roller. DRG Class 9, 18.3 RFT 136/2025 supply and delivery of one 5-ton excavator, minimum 35 horsepower. 18.4 Yarra Creek Bridge project, and 18.5 potential asset disposal, Plains Fitness 62 Station Street, Corinda. Do I have a motion, please? Councillor Simpkin. Second, please. Councillor Cohen. We can't speak against it. No. All in favour? Against? Carried unanimously, thank you. So we'll move into confidential. We'll just have a 5-minute break, please.
And
So 18.1, 18.2,
30 seconds to confirm.
can I just say they're laid on the table?
Yes, 3 of them.
3 of them?
We are now live streaming again.
Thank you very much. I'd just like to report on the confidential matters. 18.1, 18.2 and 18.3 have been laid on the table for a period of time. Where's 18.4, the Yarraman Creek project, bridge project, was, is that passing? Is it passing?
Yes.
It passed unanimously. 18.5, the potential asset disposal of Plains Fitness 62 Station Street, Corindi. The recommendation that council one, invite expressions of interest for the purchase or lease of 62 Station Street, Corindi, being lot 1 DP 105 1498, known as Plains Fitness, for a period of up to 42 days. 4, authorise the General Manager to appoint an agent in relation to the sale or lease of 62 Station Street, Corindi. And 5, receive a further report in relation to the proposed sale or lease of 62 Station Street, Corindi, following conclusions of the expressions of interest period. The item was carried 6-1. Meeting closed at 5:27.